Steve Malloy, who I mentioned before, is doing an excellent job documenting all of the failures of the government in Hawaii. There was no water in the fire hydrants. This is according to a firefighter who was on duty. No water in the fire hydrants, even though they had warning of the risk of wildfires in Hawaii. And we talked yesterday about how they didn't send out a warning. They didn't send out, the sirens didn't blare. People had no idea that this was happening. Some people until their houses were already on fire. So the emergency warning system failed, even though it had gone off twice wrongly in the 2 years prior to that. There was no water in the fire hydrants, according to firefighters on duty. And then we have this situation. This is very similar to what happened in California, where there's no brush control. And so dead trees and branches and pine needles and all of this stuff becomes just like ripe for combustion. When the sugar plantations left Hawaii, what happened to the sugar plantations? Well, non-native, fire-prone wild grasses took over that were extremely combustible. They were ripe for wildfires. This is element number 4. Again, all credit here to Steve Malloy, who's tracking all this stuff. It's incredible the circumstances that could have been avoided. So I'm going to read you what he posted on X here. He said, 2020 hazard mitigation plan for Maui estimated a 90% chance of wildfires every year. 90%. Like, comprehend that. When the land management, the sugar plantations left, fire-prone non-native grasses took over. Everyone in the government and green groups knew this, but no one did anything. Now they're trying to blame climate for their reckless disregard of reality. So they knew that this was basically a tinderbox. They could have done anything. I mean, you could have sheep graze on that grass and it would mitigate the risk. And I say sheep because this is exactly what happened in California. There used to be sheep ranches in California. And sheep, anybody who has owned a sheep knows that sheep eat everything down to a nub. So plants, grass, shrubs, just eat it down to a nub, mitigate the fire risk. But when the sheep ranches were bought by the government in California and these areas of land became national parks, the sheep were no longer on this land. And all of this shrubbery and this brush and this grass grew and wasn't tended at all, and therefore became dangerous for when a fire was started. The same thing happened in Hawaii, and yet the government knew it, the green groups knew it, and no one did anything about it. And now they're pointing the finger at climate change, which is their pre-existing political agenda to exert authoritarianism over us.